there are many aspects to MRV. There is kind of people aspect, there is trust, and politics, like everything else, in climate. The way we're looking at this is we're looking at this as a data problem. Those of you new to the MRV space, and since I'm going first, I'll spend one slide on just making sure that we're clear on the terminology. MRV basically stands for measurement, reporting, and verification. These are call it the building blocks of being able to run carbon projects, biodiversity projects. I think we're heading towards a market where we're going to see more than just carbon projects, but most of the conversation these days is around carbon, probably the most developed marketplace. Personally, I think biodiversity is not less of a problem, if not a bigger problem than carbon. And then we tend to look at, what I call like a carbon tunnel vision, and everything is carbon because of carbon markets. And we hear about news about toucan, klima, and whatnot. The MRV problem is bigger than that. It's probably the enabler for other markets, such as biodiversity. What is the collective? The collective is a not-for-profit, soon to be a DAO of an expanding coalition of MRV companies, building an open MRV protocol, off-chain and on-chain, to accelerate investments in nature-based solutions for climate mitigation. There is another aspect to carbon markets, which are engineered solutions. They probably need MRV as well, since we are, living, working, and having fun among nature. The mission of the MRV Collective is to accelerate nature-based solutions for climate mitigation. When you look at climate funding as a whole, maybe 10% is going to nature-based solutions, right? So there is a problem there. There's lots of money wants to come in, wants to do good. They're all looking for impact. They're all looking to measure impact. They're all looking for what we call proof of impact. And that's MRV. As far as our members and our partners, we have partners and members that coming to it from MRV Tech. Feel free to ping Chase from Fix 6, I think he's also here, and Ollie, fairly involved in the collective. We have members that coming from the project development world, so project developers that work on Vera and other registries and want to solve for the MRV problem in a more scalable way. We'll talk about kind of old MRV versus new MRV and what we're building. We have research partners, so folks from the Technion, folks from Colorado State University, folks from Texas University, people that working on research and frameworks for measuring soil, measuring biodiversity, measuring oceans, measuring social impact. And then last is we have some of the on-chain partners. We're all familiar with the names. I think one of the missions of the collective is to take the conversation outside of the Web3 bubble. When I started to talk to John and other folks here, it's like Web3 companies talking to other Web3 companies. We gotta, break that kind of silo. We gotta go to the problem. We gotta talk to the people in agriculture. We gotta talk to the people in energy. We gotta talk to the researchers. We gotta talk to the project developers. And that's the collective. Just to give you an idea, and let me go into presenter mode here on why MRV. This is from the Climate Tech VC. And you see MRV in the middle, which is kind of the key enabler for the thing to the left and the thing to the right. It's an enabler for carbon direct removal, and it's an enabler for carbon accounting. Yet we still see most of the funding flowing to CDR and carbon accounting, not so much to MRV. Why? It's a hard problem to solve. And like we said, you need a collective, you need a bunch of multidisciplinary people coming together to solve that. So not an easy one. However, we see this as the core problem in order to enable many things. And by the way, not just nature-based solutions. You're probably all following the news, from the more traditional registries, the Veras, the gold standards. I know they're looking at the problem. At the end of the day, we're not going to accelerate nature-based investment by taking Vera credits and tokenizing them and bringing them to the on-chain. We are going to help nature if we can measure nature, and if we can build trust in the data, and if we can make the data transparent, and if we can make this a part of the collective. We call it a collective also because we are building a protocol on top of the ocean protocol to basically be able to create a data marketplace. So MRV providers, project developers, NGOs, people on the ground should be able to contribute and get paid, get compensated, contributing data, regardless of the carbon offsets here. The way we look at data is valued in the MRV space. This is part of the collective. This is why we're forming this as a collective from the get-go.
Hey, Raviv, I just want to give you a 1 minute warning. So it's been 7 minutes, and
All right. So I see you guys are pretty strict. The slides would be up on the MRV Museum, basically documenting this problem, of greenwashing. There's some recent cases and a market map. This space is pretty fragmented and siloed. When we talk about Open MRV Collective, I'll just use this visual and we can continue the conversation in the chat room. The idea is that we have nature-based climate projects on the left. We then have a layer of sort of Internet of Things in the field, satellites, all sorts of MRV technologies coming to the market. We got to build a middle. We got to build that kind of brain that knows how to ingest, store, and serve the data. And then on top of it, there'll be an entire ecosystem of APIs, and people will be able to plug in and build on that, whether it's for reporting, for dashboards, for visualizations, and of course, taking it on chain and creating a marketplace. There is a bunch of companies willing to pay for that data today, and that includes carbon registries, carbon bridges, project developers, even carbon emitters, of course, and impact funds. The idea of the hybrid protocol and what we are doing different this time around, working on the MRV problem, is that we basically layer different MRV technologies and data. So modeling MRV, remote sensing MRV, and sampling MRV. And I'll just finish with a sample project, which we're doing in Costa Rica. If you follow the layers and how the MRV kind of stacks up, it starts with the physical assets. It starts with nature, which is the land. 1,600 farms in Costa Rica, 87,000 hectares, working together with NGO on the ground, which is Costa Rica Regenerative, and a soil lab in San Jose. And then you can see the collective, basically all the layers on top of the of the layers in the bottom, and that's the remote sensing technologies. We have a few of our MRV companies that we invested in. We also have a kind of capital set aside for investment in MRV companies. And then data modeling, Fix6 is one of the companies doing data modeling for that. And at the top, you see the tokenization by the MRV Collective, and the governance will be done by the MRVDAO, which is coming in a few months. So working on that as well. I'll finish here.